listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shannon Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology coach, and personalized learning coordinator for my district.
And I'm the producer and her husband, Fuzz. Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
It's warm outside.
Oh my gosh. I wore a t-shirt and that was it.
And jeans.
Well, jeans. Jeans. I just meant no coat.
Yes,
no
while you grilled
fleece
outside for dinner.
No parka.
It was 43 degrees. It was
no
glorious.
hat and insulated mittens.
Yeah.
I was in jeans and a t-shirt and my sunglasses, and I loved every minute of it.
And it was 43 degrees outside.
It was, and it felt so warm. It felt like 70.
Yeah, so it's, February, end of February here, start of March. And we are so ready for spring.
Spring fever, baby.
And it has inspired today's episode.
Yes.
And we are giving all the dirt on virtual gardening.
Oh, yeah.
So,
who writes this stuff?
That cool producer guy that I pay so much money to. So this week, I was asked by one of our ag teachers, like, hey, do you have any cool virtual gardening sites? Because I want to get the kids up and running. Here in good old Wisco, there is still snow on the ground. But I mean, our FFA kids have already started in the greenhouse. Like, we have lots of plants growing at school. But
FFA, for those of you who are listening who don't know, is the Future Farmers of America. Ag means agriculture because not all places have these classes and they kind of sound like foreign language to some.
This is true. Yes, this is true.
Gardening is everywhere.
Gardening is everywhere.
Yeah.
And so,
we're going to talk about it.
So we're hitting up the gardens here and
there's so many things that it can cross. There's math, there's science, there's other science. You can turn it into English stuff and math if you want.
You can write about it. You can journal about it. You can track like almanacs, like farmers' almanacs and things like that.
And it feels good to do.
It does. It's relaxing and you're like producing things. My mom, we don't really ever talk about the rest of my family, but my mom is a master gardener. So there is a lot of gardening that happens around. Well, here a little, and then at their house, there's a whole lot of gardening that happens.
She has a bona fide she shed.
She does.
Like, it's cool.
It is really cool. It's her workspace. She keeps all her potting and all her kind of stuff.
I want a he shed.
Isn't that a regular shed?
Oh, I guess.
A she shed is like beautiful.
I feel like a regular shed. I feel like a regular shed is just like for everybody.
That's true. And because usually like bikes and toys and
gardening equipment.
Yep.
When mixed with other equipment. Yeah. But her she shed is like you can do replanting. I think, is there water out there?
She uses a rain barrel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty cool setup.
Yep. And she's got little garden boxes on the outside.
All the time. She
does have a little tea table. It's really cute. Yeah. You can have tea in her she shed and she pots out there and replants things and yeah, it's cute. And the kids get to keep their garden stuff out there. So it's all kept in one spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, as we digress, but so I did some digging to figure out how we can do so many of these today. It's great.
What sprouted out, Shanna?
So I was trying to put together the best way to use these different sites because there's a ton of different like landscaping sites out there, but to be able to put them together for kids to understand it and students to learn from, where it's not just like stuff or so I was trying to like put together a collection that would be useful so that way our kids can plan their gardens, they can learn more about the vegetables and plants and flowers that they're going to be planting.
Yep.
And then also be actually able to virtually create it because that's kind of the cool part. And we all know how much I love a design software.
You do.
So
It's true.
let's get started
Let's
because
dig in.
the early bird gets the worm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep on
Digging.
All right. So our first site, and really some of these are like straight up gardening sites. I'm like, they are not like made for school. So
Right. So yeah, you're going to use these and get creative in your classroom.
And use them as tools for students. And I'm definitely thinking 612 when it comes to using these. The first one is gardeners.com, and it's literally Gardener's Supply Company, which like we're not gonna do any online shopping today. You could, but there's so many cool tools here that kids can kind of explore online with like what you would need to build a garden. We've done a lot of STEM-based projects where students actually do need prices and things like that. If they're going to plan a project like start to finish, like they need to know like what's it going to cost and what do these plants need and what kind of soil do they need and all that kind of stuff. So what's cool about this, if you go under Gardener Supply Company, which of course you can buy your seeds and stuff through, but they have a section under pre-planned gardens. So you can choose a garden and then it shows you how to map them out.
Okay.
So you're learning like, are they shade plants? Or what kind of soil do they need? So you can pick the categories. Like I want an all-American garden. It's got bountiful, easy to care for favorites. Or they have a blueberry garden. Or they have like various types of cook's choice or a cucumber farm or fun for kids. So you click on one of these like pre-planned gardens. And then what it will do is give you the breakdown. So it teaches you what you need to do. So if you have students that are planning a garden, this would be a great place to start because it's going to tell them, gives them like kind of little sketchy drawings of the shape or kind of what you would look for, and then what would go best in this garden. So it lays you out. So like planting guide, tomatoes, this is how you plant the seeds. This is what you do to transplant. This is what you need for spacing. This is what you need for harvesting. Here's some hints. Mm-hmm. So it gives them the breakdown for each type of vegetable that would go into this like very basic garden. And what a cool way for kids to have, you know, a lot of information about this plant. Like even if they're growing some seeds in milk cartons, you know, in your classroom window, this is a cool place as like a reference. So they could track it in a notebook. Like, okay, I know I planted my tomato seeds today. You know, if you're doing this with younger kids and not doing a big old class garden, and I need to know that I need to, you know, spread them here. And this is the water they need. And this is the sun they need. And students can track their plants. So this Gardener's Supply Company, while yes, it has all of the other stuff in it too to order things, it really gives you the basics of how to set up your garden and how each of these plants would grow in a garden.
Sure.
Which is kind of a cool reference.
And it looks like it's using the square foot gardening technique. So
correct.
There's a ton of articles and such online about square foot gardening if you're unfamiliar, but we have a square foot garden at our house. Is it a 3x3 or 4x4?
It's 4x4.
4x4. And so it means it has, if you were to make a grid of 1 foot boxes, it has 4 across and 4 up. And so 16 square feet. Thank you, math. And, but we quickly find that certain plants take over the entire piece.
Yes.
And this website helps you to say,
don't plant those things by each other.
Right.
So every year when we plant this fantastic garden, which it started as like a family project. Yep. So the girls would learn how to plant vegetables and I learned how to keep them in one spot versus putting pots everywhere.
Yep.
And like I would chuck vegetable seeds in with my flower seeds and don't do that because you get random things growing. Anyway. And so yes, every year the zucchini takes over.
Zucchini or
and
tomatoes.
The tomatoes. So like the zucchini takes over one half the garden and the tomatoes the other. And the girl's like, but we planted carrots in there. And you have to like dig around and I'm hacking back the zucchini leaves all of the time. And I know better. Like I have done this for quite a few years now. When I'm like year 8 and still there is a problem with my zucchini overgrowing the garden, which I should grow them up versus probably growing them across. But
Well,
it is what it is.
you can use Gardner Supply Company's
Yes,
Kitchen
and I could
Garden Planner
actually
this year.
do a better job of planning my garden.
And we're going to make the garden bigger this year,
take
so
my
it
own
won't be
advice.
such an issue. So
Yes. So it's a cool place to start. It would be a great reference for students to start with, as like, these plants go well together. Here's what you need to know about the seeds, just some like basics laid out. And so they have their little kitchen garden planner.
Yep.
What's also cool is in that site too, right now, you click on pre-planned gardens. They do have a design your own garden feature, but currently it's under construction. So they're like rebuilding it.
Okay.
So they do have a design your own garden feature, which would be great to come back to. But right now it's not working on their website.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows, it's something to come back to. They also have like vegetable encyclopedia from A to Z on that same part of the website. And you can get every vegetable under the planet and understand what it goes to. So it's just a very cool place to start. So that's our starting point for our cool vegetable garden.
Very good. That's Gardner Supply Company.
Correct.
What's the URL? I don't have that up in front of me.
It's going to be Gardener's Supply.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm like pulling it up. It is gardeners.com.
Gardeners.com. Oh, okay, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, it's there. It's Gardner. It's just simpler than it. But then I go under, like, I will link it to Gardner Supply Kitchen Garden Planner. So that way, if you go to Smart and WI under the EdTech Directory, it will drop you straight to the Kitchen Garden Planner. So you're not like trolling through the website trying to find the one thing I'm highlighting on the website.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Ooh, they've got a cocktail garden.
They do.
Cheers.
So the next site we're going to talk about, it's called smartgardener.com. And this one we're doing a little finagling with because smartgardener.com, it's really cool. It's one of these cool, like, you can design online sites. The one trick about this one is it's a paid version.
Okay.
But if you go to smartgardener.com, and this is like our next step in the process. So first we have our students like picking out the vegetables and learning how to plant them. The next piece of it would then be like, how do you plant these vegetables together? So smartgardener.com has this. And again, I will put the link directly to the demo page, because if you go to smartgardener.com and you click, I want to try the demo, then you can manipulate your little garden in this like gridded space. So you can click on planting beds. You can pick your shapes and sizes for planting beds. You can click the type of plants. Like you can click on, I want chard. And then I'm going to check out my rainbow beet chard. And then it gives me the breakdown of where to start indoors, how to transplant it, ease of growth, how big it gets, how hardy it is. Like this one, if Gardner Supply broke it down, this one like breaks it down by 100 more times in detail about each plant. And then you can pick if you want to add shade into your garden in different shapes, and you click on your vegetable and you can kind of manipulate things and remove and move your garden around. So it gives you some flexibility with like yard area and bed space. So there's our math comes in, like the dimensions are there and everything for you. This is a demo though. So because we're not paying for the full-on paid version, you have limited choices once your students manipulate the garden around the way they want it to be, or as they learn about how to plant the different vegetables and stuff.
Yep.
My suggestion is to print it.
Okay.
You can look at it the way it is, but if they want to keep how they've planned their basic garden out, then I suggest you click print.
There you
because
go.
it doesn't save because it's the demo version of it.
Sure.
You can also email it too. So you can email the plan or you can print the plan once you've created it. So again, smartgardener.com, and then you click on demo and you can manipulate it. You can learn from it. Your students can set everything up as they need to and do different shapes. But then you're going to need to either print it or email their plan because it doesn't go anywhere else from there.
Sure.
But it's pretty cool. And it's, they have like pumpkins and squash and carrots, and you can pick and choose how you want to set up your vegetable garden. So that's kind of nifty. And again, it's kind of like the next step. So in the first one, you learn all about the vegetables and kind of like where they go. This one, you kind of plan what you would put together almost. And then our last site, which is our highlight of the day, is Gardena.com.
Gardena. Yep.
And to get to the part that I want you to, it's my-garden.gardena.com.
So it's garden and then the letter A,
Yep.
Gardena.
Gardena/UK.
Okay.
What? So this site
I'm just
is so cool. So I'm pretty sure this is meant to put like sprinkler systems in, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, like lighting, sprinkler system, irrigation, those kinds of things. Yeah.
But really, it's a 3D design platform. So what it lets you do, and it's so cool, you pick your plot. So you want lawn, you want earth bed, you want paving, wood, cobblestone, gravel, water. You pick what you want. So like on the left-hand side of the screen, and I'm going to get more detailed with this one because there's a lot of details to it. So you're going to like drop your points in on a grid like you would kind of like in Floor Planner, like we've talked about before. And you're going to draw up, and here's your math, like hardcore mathing. They've got your triangles put in there. They have it by meter and your breakdown for you. It's all mathed out. So you put in, and then once you finish your shape, click the little green check mark. So make sure your students, as they're designing, click that green check mark. Otherwise, it keeps traveling with your mouse. Oh. And then like you're like in triangle land, and then like weird other shapes that you don't want. And maybe you want a triangle garden. Totally your call. Then in the center of each space as you design it, there's a lock or an unlock. So you can keep it unlocked if you plan on moving that space again. But if you don't, lock it into place, like lock your lawn into place. Then you can go to houses and extensions. And then look, I can pick a little red roofed house and drop that into my garden. And then clearly you can see my measuring that my garden and my lawn is tiny and my house is gigundo, which is not true. It's because I didn't measure them out well. See, again, math. Gardening. Mm-hmm. So I have a little house, and then you can go back to your plot and then add earth. And then you can actually put like a vegetable garden or various other types of gardens, and all your mathing and triangles and rectangles come into play, which is cool. And you can put in your vegetable garden. So what's cool about this, then you go to your plants, and they have like flowers and grass and fruit and vegetables and shrubs and all that kind of stuff. And you pick out what you want, and then you can start dropping your fruits and vegetables and whatnot into your garden. And then you can drag it over if you put it in the wrong spot and keep moving it. Now, what's cool about this is all of these things play, like if you're going to build a project on this, you'd start with the first site from Garden Supply.
Yep.
Pick out, let's say, the 10 things you want to put into your vegetable garden. Give me the research and the background behind it. Then you can go to Maggie's Garden and then get just the little like printout of, here's my plan. I'm going to put these vegetables by these vegetables because this would be best because of location or growth or whatever it's going to be. Like the pumpkins clearly are going to take up more room than the carrots.
Right.
You can put that plan into place. They can print that off. Then they can come here to Gardena and then actually plot out if they're going to have a little barn or their farm or their vegetables. They may not label every single vegetable that's in there because that plan came from your Smart Garden demo. So that plan is in place. But here they can lay out the visual of how they're going to actually place the gardens within the space. So that's how you can use like all three sites together within a project. And they'll have the write-up then of, here's my design. Here's my like house design or my like full-on like garden design.
Yeah.
Location of everything. Here's what's going to be planted into each garden. And then here's the research behind the things I'm putting into each garden. So it's kind of cool. But Gardena you can play around with forever because it's one of those, and you can add like furniture and leisure. So hey, you can add like new patio furniture onto your lawn with your little brick path and then put in a small pond, in the back left corner of your garden plot. So it's kind of cool that you're able to manipulate and add things, and you can add notes right in. So you can put like call outs like, all right, I got my house. I'm like, they can list off then right next to your garden, this row is going to be like these vegetables and this row is going to be these vegetables and they need this much water and this much sun, and they can actually type that into there. What's cool then is when you've completed the whole thing, again, here you can save it or you can print it out. So you would have that. So students are, I know we don't always have students print, but they can PDF it and make it digital, throw it into a flip book or something. Or they can share it out into Google Classroom. for a presentation. But it's kind of cool to put the 3 different things together because it gives you more background knowledge and more planning for the students. So it's not just like, oh, here's my garden. I threw like 8 carrot plants in there and call it good. And that way they've done the planning and, the organizing and all that kind of stuff together. And this one's fun to play around with. So if you need a site to play around with for a while, and it gives you really good math breakdowns of everything. And there are templates too if you are doing more of a project where maybe you're using this site for your own garden, or if you're like having specific things to put in, they do have pre-made templates to kind of start from if that works for you in a better space. And then you can also share out your garden by, they have a link too. So you can drop like a direct link from Gardena into your Google Classroom too, if you are interested in doing that.
Very cool. And we could tie it all together back to a piece of tech that we talked about on episode 60, which is Instructables. And if you're looking to build a raised garden bed, you can go to Instructables.com, and there are plenty of plans. So if you're in a tech ed or something like that you want to...
or building a community garden or a classroom garden.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And there are a ton. You can do raised beds. You can do V-box beds, all those kinds of things. They have pallet. Yeah, lots of pallet stuff. Yep.
So,
exactly.
So think spring.
Yes. Grow
with your knowledge.
Dig in to this episode and don't do us dirty. What? No, no, that's not.
No. Plant your seeds and let them grow.
Yes.
Seeds of knowledge.
Yes.
All right.
See what other ideas sprout up.
There you go. And then share them. And if you're using these things or create them, please tag me on the
cucumbers.
Things on Twitter. Yeah, send us some vegetables. That would be so awesome. I love vegetables. But tag me on Twitter because I would love to see some of the garden designs that are coming out because we are going to redo ours this year. So that'd be pretty cool. All right. Yay. Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at SmartNWI. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, you can visit smartnwi.com. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author, Shannon Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do. And we'll talk to you next time on the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast.